Welcome back. Invest Info, episode 24. This week's topic we're going to do is we're going to talk about credit score and why it's important to us and how can we help build it. Now, the advantage of having a good credit score is, well, you got to look at how the economy is run. You have Austrian economics and you have Keynesian economics. Keynesian economics is really moved by debt, and that's the kind of economy we have going. So debt is king. How to manage debt is king, and that's all really your credit score is showing creditors is how well can you manage debt, how well can you manage credit. There's several different ways you could build credit, and the earlier the better. Some of the disadvantages of having good credit score is, you might start late in life. You might have been affected early, and it's taking you, and it takes time. Now, what I want to say is we need to have a fair amount of credit because if you look at some of the previous shows we did talking about borrowing and using that money to leverage it in an asset that's going to give us a greater yield or a greater return on our investment than the interest that we have to pay on the money that we borrowed, and we kind of profit from the spread. It's a sound strategy, but that strategy to be initiated correctly, you need good credit. No one's going to lend you money if you don't have any good credit. And even if you have cash, right, and you try to purchase a home, you try to purchase a car, well, at a dealership, they're not selling you cars. They're selling you loans. You can go in a dealership with, I don't know, $250,000 in cash and try to buy a car. The dealer will not sell it to you because his job is not to sell you a car, but to sell you a loan, sell a loan to you to a bank. That's what car dealers do. Look at these car commercials. They're not saying pay the car in full. They're saying pay the car per month. They give you per month prices. The higher our credit is, the better our credit history, the lower the interest we have to pay on that particular money that we borrow. All right. You have unsecured loan and secured loan. So a secured loan is something that you borrow, and the borrower, the loan is secured by maybe an asset, just as like a home mortgage loan, right? It's secured by the home, or a car is secured by the car. They could take the car if you default on your debt. Now you have unsecured loans where it's a personal loan from a creditor. Either which, we need to have good scores. Right now, different creditors are going to look at different things. Like if you go to buy a house or a car, primarily a house, they want to see more than just, you balance your credit card well. So if you manage a large chunk, right, a large loan, I don't know, maybe a student loan, car loan, for example, the larger the loan that you borrow, the more credit you could get for the next loan. So the cycle kind of works like, you get out of college, they see that you can manage that for a number of years, or you can manage a car for a number of years in a larger purchase like a home. Okay, you can manage that. If you want to open up a business, you want to start your business and buy property, they're going to look at that as well. So this plays a factor. Now, let's talk about some ways that we can build our credit effectively, right? One, credit cards. That's the go-to way of building credit. Now, let's say you don't trust yourself with a credit card. You're a very active spender. Well, you have something called being an authorized user, and that's something that really helped me out in my personal experience. By the way, these are not my credit scores. These are just stock photos off Google. One thing that built my credit score was being an authorized user. From a young child, my parents made me authorized users on their cards, and what that did was that built my credit history. Because that's a factor that plays into your credit score is your history. How long have you had this particular account open? And I was an authorized user on our card since I was a little kid. I mean, it boosts my history by, I don't know, 15 years when I was ready to start doing major take out, more loans, like, and for greater purposes. Example is my vehicle. I don't pay any interest on my vehicle because of the credit score I had. If you have shit credit score but you make a good annual income, as opposed to having a really great score and decent income, the person with the greater score has the greater leverage when it comes to buying a car or house, or whatever you want to purchase. Maybe you want to take out a loan for something. You have that leverage. So we have to learn how to build this thing. So we mentioned being an authorized user on a credit card. That's one thing. You also have trade lines, right? Um, Now, if you don't know somebody close to you that has good credit, that you can't just ask them to be an authorized user on your card. They have trade lines, or you could be either the buyer or the seller of this particular trade line. And the way it works is you could loan out your card to help build someone else's credit. Pretty much being a co-signee to help someone out, and you could get paid for that. Or if you're on the opposite end, you could pay somebody for that. Having somebody co-sign with you on a car, co-sign with you on a particular loan, and your job is to just maintain it. Now, another one thing we could do is there are certain credit cards out there. I'm going to name one, Merrick Bank. What Merrick Bank does is if they'll loan you a card, and if you keep this card in good standing for 6 months, they'll double it, and then they'll double it again. And I've had this card, I think going on 4 years, and the initial card limit was $600, and I didn't check it recently, but I know it's over 3,000 by now. And all I did was just hold the card. I used it, but I paid it off. But I just kept it in good standing, and eventually they just keep doubling the limit. Most cards will do that for you. Most credit cards will double your limit, and what that does is that boosts our credit card utilization, right, by decreasing it. So every card has a certain limit on it, and you have to keep that limit. So let's say you have $1,000 credit card, right? You're not supposed to use more than, 300. You want to keep that about 30%, right? To have your credit card utilization in the green, to have it good, So we have the credit card, opening up accounts. Opening up accounts are a good thing to do. So every time you open up a credit card, you don't want to close your credit card. You don't want to close it. You want to keep that credit history going. But if you do close it, it still counts as a total account open. So they want to see how well you've did over the time with opening different accounts, managing and closing those debts. Okay, that's another factor into our credit score, our history. And I already mentioned how we can start building our history, just being an authorized user on somebody's credit card, being a co-signee, using trade lines if you want to go that route to pay for a better credit. All right, or utilize your good credit and get passive income from that. There's people making passive income through trade lines, right? What else we could do to build our credit? Let's see. So I mentioned the credit cards. I mentioned the co-signees. Really being disciplined also with our spending. Don't miss payments. Whatever you do, pay your payments. Also, if you're gonna pay things that do affect your credit. For example, you need good credit now. It's not like you used to. You need good credit now, depending on where you want to have an apartment. They're gonna check your history, right? However, paying your rent and an apartment doesn't boost your credit score, so that sucks. But you could do, if you don't want to do a home, you could do a condo. That will, in essence, help your credit, as opposed to just getting a regular lease. So if you don't want to go to the mortgage route of buying a house, because the maintenance is not easy, you could always do the condo route, right? Less maintenance, and it also works towards your credit. Also, that condo is an asset now. You could always sell it back and profit from that return. So credit is key to investing. We want our credit to be, it's a solid investment to have good credit. I know it's sometimes hard to get a start. One thing I'll say too, and if possible, if you could get a large amount of money, or a fairly good chunk of money at a quick time, I'll always say invest that money. Try to make that money grow. Try to make that money grow upon itself if you have the means to. A good Kickstarter could be, if you don't, I've mentioned the taking out a loan and using that as leverage. Not many people could do that. But the way you could get started too is also with taxes. If you have kids and you file your tax return, you should get back a decent amount of money to start your investing career, right? And tax time is right around the corner. I say this every year because I also help and file people's taxes. Try to use your return wisely, Try to put your return to make it grow for you. Make it generate some sort of passive income, you know? All right, so with that, man, I'm going to sign out with this one. Different tips out there to boost your credit. If I missed any, you can leave some in the comment boards. You could always share some that you could find on YouTube. And all right, so I'll see you guys on the next one.